Hello, welcome back to our vlog. Today is Thursday, August the 13th of 2020. I am so excited today to have Mike Johnson back with us again, the superintendent of our school district. Well, we have a lot happening, don't we, Mike? Welcome back here.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here.
Sure.
Love coming in. Doug, we're certainly in some different times right now.
Yes.
Things that we could never imagine 6 months ago. We were completely in the dark that anything like this would be happening. And it will forever change our lives and the way we go about living. And in many ways, we don't really even know other changes that are coming.
Yes.
And with this pandemic and the spread of the virus and schools and work and how we work, and everything is pretty in flux right now. It's so fluid. And if you're not really looking down the road at any possibility, then you're not prepared to pivot with what's coming. And it's around the corner. We can't see it, but it's coming. We have to do our best to find out what's out there.
Yes.
And in education, that's where we're at. We are pivoting left, we're pivoting right, and we've been doing that since March. And once again, we're doing it. Just 2 weeks ago, the governor announced the metrics, which has directed districts into comprehensive distance learning. And I know that's our topic today. But I wanted to talk to our community just for a moment. And this is my most relaxed place, really.
Good.
And talking to the community. We've had community forums, we've done the community forums as well for when I first became a superintendent to set our strategic planning process and put that in place. And at the time, we thought that was a huge project, and it was.
It was.
It was big. I mean, we had more than 40, 50 community members on that task force to develop that vision for our district. But it really, in comparison to where we're at now with this, that doesn't seem like much. It was a lot of work, but this is something that I've never experienced. I just see one mountain after another coming with this, and that's what we've been experiencing since March. But, in looking at what we're doing and how we're going to support our students, I empathize with all stakeholders. With our students, first and foremost. They're missing time with their teachers. They're missing time socializing in schools and activities outside of schools and being with their peers and feeling that care that they can have at a moment's notice. And then our parents and their fears, the fears of their kids getting sick and maybe ending up in the hospital, or their loved ones, their parents, our parents getting sick and having this virus and having to deal with it. And the thought of their students maybe falling behind in their education, and how's that going to work out for graduation and affect them for life after high school. And then certainly with our staff, our teachers and our support staff. I mean, everyone, bus drivers, our folks that work in the kitchen, our district level folks, our teachers and classified, everyone in our system. And they're people too.
Yes.
They have the same fears and concerns. They want to be safe. They want their family to be safe. They want their kids to be safe. They don't want to lose their jobs. People are losing jobs, and that's a real possibility. Well, it's really happening in this time. And so while we're looking at our planning and what we can do as a district to provide care, connections, and the continuity of a quality education. That's all in my mind, and it's in the minds of our leadership team. And so we're developing a pathway through comprehensive distance learning with all of that in mind.
I hope that this forum here, this vlog, can serve as just another tool for you, because I hope we can go forward over the next several weeks and share information with the people at our church and the friends of our members. I'm continually asked, give me some specifics of what you're learning. So that's where I hope we can go over the next few weeks to get just another way to get the information out there. I've talked to parents that are really just scared to death right now for the very reasons of what you just said. So that's a big deal. Do you mind explaining to us a little bit about just what does comprehensive distance learning mean?
And the best way that I can describe this is that in a classroom in education, every course is aligned to state standards. Those are the expectations of what our kids are to learn and be able to do when they get out of school, out of high school. At every grade level, we have those standards set by the state, the Common Core standards. We have the elements of an effective lesson, a stated target that aligns to the standards, high levels of student engagement, assessing progress, both formal and informal, with our students as we go along the pathway of learning. And we make those connections and relationships in school. Our students know that they're cared for and supported. And through this comprehensive distance learning, we're going to do the same things. Our education involves all of those elements and criteria. And in fact, the Oregon Department of Education has set those requirements out there for us. And we're going to talk a little bit about those.
Okay.
But I'd like to kind of describe their guidelines from the Department of Education. Under a comprehensive distance learning model, schools have the responsibility to do the following: continue to focus on student identity and belonging, care, connection, well-being, and mental, social, and emotional health. Just as we are in person, we have to develop a system online, and we're working on that right now to deliver that. Actively engage and nurture relationships with students, families, parents engaged, included in this, and caregivers. Provide high quality, well-rounded learning opportunities, and encourage, support, and provide opportunities for active collaboration and communication between school leaders, teachers, and school staff. So as we did with the strategic planning process and bringing all the stakeholders in to develop that vision, we engaged in the same process for this plan and the vision for comprehensive distance learning. We engaged the parents, students, and staff in surveys so that we could get their input and feedback on what it was in the spring that wasn't right, what was right, but we could continue, and then input on what it should look like going into the fall, knowing that we have a runway to prepare. And then we brought together a task force the last week of July. Teachers and our support staff and administrators came off of their summer time away, off of work to work, and we had a task force of over 30 people involved in developing this comprehensive distance learning plan and pathway. The blueprint is what's required by ODE, and we were working on the blueprint plan and the details of it, of teaching and learning. Teaching, learning, and care.
And I noticed that out of this came an online curriculum. I know we did not have an online curriculum in the spring, but we do now. Can you tell us a little bit about that online curriculum?
So we heard from parents and teachers alike. The governor announced 2 days before we were to enter into distance learning for all, which is very different from comprehensive distance learning. But we had 2 days to really line up a new way of educating our kids online or from a distance,
Yes.
remotely. And our teachers were very courageous. This was unknown. This is like going into the abyss, and you don't know what's going to come out on the other. You really don't even know what you're going into.
Right.
But man, I'll tell you, they stepped up to it. We all know that. And parents did too. And our community was very gracious of us, and we appreciated that. We gave it every effort. I would say every staff member did, to show genuine care, connect with kids, and then to continue educating them as best we could. But in the feedback from the surveys, a lot of discussion around from teachers. You know, we want to deliver a more rigorous and accountability-based education online. That's where we end up. And from parents, the same. You know, our kids are not challenged enough. It's not quite fitting their needs. And from students, we heard some feedback too about how much homework, what's too much, how many times they were engaged with teachers during the week. And it was really surprising on the survey, the results of how often they were really in touch with teachers. It wasn't enough for us. We wanted to be with them more. But given the situation that we were in, you know, it turned out to be a lot more than I think I anticipated, as far as 96-7% of our students engaged weekly with our teachers, and 2 to 3 times a week.
Yeah.
That was phenomenal. But looking at all the results of the survey and what is involved in comprehensive education or well-rounded education, we needed to provide better tools for our teachers. We have professionals, experts for teaching. Give them the right tools, and that's what's going to happen. And so we went out on a search, the leadership team of the district did, looking for the appropriate, best system that we could provide the tools for our teachers and our kids to reach a high quality education model online. And so we researched different platforms. We looked for learning management systems. A learning management system platform means that you have an online platform and teachers are loading or onboarding their curriculum. So they're designing it all along the way, meaning whatever they did in the classroom for the scope of a course, math, now they're going to put all those lessons up online.
Yeah.
It takes about 4 to 6 weeks for training on those types of platforms. Well, Google is one type of that platform, and so is Seesaw.
Yeah.
And we've been on those, so we know how to work those. But when we look at higher level ones of where that complete scope and sequence of the curriculum and the lessons are online, that's what we're talking about with the learning management system. And you know, a teacher, we would need to put, you know, 20 to 30 hours of time in there for teachers to do that, to get that curriculum up online.
Sure.
A lot of time in training, 4 to 6 weeks to onboard it, and then the 20 to 30 hours for teachers to get that on there. That would have delayed the start of school to the 21st and maybe even a few days beyond that, of September.
Yes.
That's a lot of time for our kids not to be in school when they were expecting to be in school, you know, on the 9th.
Yes.
And with their teachers on the 14th. That's tough. We really were concerned about that, I would say, as a leadership team. And then you have these online school platforms where they have courses that have curriculum built into them. And so you can say, okay, well, I'm going to sign up for that course in math. And you get the math, like an online charter school.
Right.
You get the course. And you go at it with your, you know, your pace, lesson to lesson to lesson. So that's the online school platform. Well, then in our research, and we looked at 6 to 8 different platforms, and we looked at several on the learning management systems, Seesaw included, and it's one of the preferred best, and that's where we're at with the elementary school. And then we looked at these online school platforms. And in our research, we ran across Acellus. And it's not like Acellus is a new thing.
Yes.
It's just researching these was new to us.
Yes.
And so when we looked at this Acellus platform and what it could offer, it has a learning management system built into every course. So a math teacher can go into an Acellus math course, look at all the lessons for the course, and determine which of those lessons that are in there align to the standards that we were required to align to with the state, and how to supplement or design blended curriculum with that course from the teacher's end. And then at what points where the teacher is going to engage with a class of students. And with Acellus, we have specially designed courses for our students that are in special education. We have courses in there where we can slow the pace down if we want, and then we can also accelerate if we want. A teacher can.
Yes.
Yeah. We can use Acellus for credit recovery for students who fell behind in credits or might be in the future falling behind in credits, and maybe they need to make up a math credit. And we can get them right into a course to do that with Acellus. And then we have the opportunity with Acellus, so we have the blended comprehensive distance learning where the teacher is consistently engaged in it. That's the teacher's course.
Yes.
They just have this platform they're using. And then you have the online school where that's the independent place where our teachers are not engaged in it. So if you're there's a teacher in the course, but it's provided through the Acellus platform.
Yes.
And so those who prefer not to be in public education, maybe they just want to be in their own school with their kids at homeschool kind of situation. That's the Acellus Academy.
Okay.
Online school.
Now I watched your forum Monday night, and I appreciated it very much because you were very informative. I love seeing all of your principles, and I know that because I was the one that put in one of the questions of explain the difference, because you just said that magic word that you have the CDL, the Comprehensive Distance Learning, and you have the Academy. And my take, I just need you to briefly explain. My take was that if I'm uncomfortable with my child coming to school, as an example, until this whole thing is settled, with vaccines, and I am convinced my child will not get it. If I'm not going to send my child to school, I probably should go with the Academy, maybe.
If you're looking for yes.
Okay.
If you're not going to bring your students into school in person when it's safe, we won't do it until it's safe anyway. But if that's your intent, and some parents already, even before this, felt that way, and they want to have a completely independent experience for their students at their pace, guided by parents, coached by the Acellus teachers online, but regular check-ins with our staff, administrators, then that's the program. Okay.
But this comprehensive distance learning means the teacher is going to be the teacher that they would have had we had in-person school.
Correct. And the students in the class as well.
Yes.
So every student that's in comprehensive distance learning will be in a class of students just as they would in person.
Gotcha.
With the teacher of the class.
Well, since this is all online, how will a student access the school?
So you enroll in school just as you would normally. So every student in our district that's going to be in the academy or in comprehensive distance learning first needs to enroll in our schools. They need to register. And from that point, then we'll look at developing the schedules just as we would if we were in person.
Okay.
No student is going to be short on experiences in school from this system. Actually, we can actually build more opportunities for courses with this system online.
Yeah.
And that's just it. You enroll in school as you normally would. The principal and the registrar will work on the details of the schedule, and which they are doing right now, putting together their schedules. Electives will be available. They'll be virtual with the teachers, but they're available. And that's our program.
Okay. So the other end of it is not just the access, but the accountability. How can I, as a parent, make sure that my student is actually doing what you expect him to be doing? Where's the accountability there?
So in this, where we talk about family engagement here on the ODE requirements, parents are informed of the student's progress. But we're working out a system between Acellus and our SIS, our student information system, where parents can check in on student progress regularly to see if they're turning their assignments in, if they're attending class and what have you. But we also will be sending attendance reports home.
Yes.
Attendance is required in CDL.
Oh, good. I like
Attendance is required. And so just like if a student was absent from school on a regular, normal, in-person school day, parents are notified.
that. Yes.
In this system, they're notified as well. And in fact, if they're with the teacher working in the Acellus course, they can report how much time a student spent in class.
Cool.
And where their progress is on the lessons.
Yes.
So we're really getting up to speed on this comprehensive distance learning system. On accountability, again, attendance, participation is a big deal in this because teachers are required to be with students 2 to 3 hours a day in engaging directly with them online. And so while students are required to attend class they're also going to be earning grades. This is not a pass, no pass system anymore.
Yes.
That was the spring when accountability was, we were just working it out. We didn't really have any guidelines from ODE on the accountability piece. Now we do. And grades are going to be earned. Credits are going to be earned for graduation. So there is accountability. On our end from the district, we have what's called in what's discussed in this, or how it's described from ODE and their expectations. I brought my handy dandy manual
There you
because
go.
this isn't normal as usual, but so you have the teacher facilitated instruction, which is 2.5 to 3 hours a day. And then you have the applied learning. So students are applying what they're learning online with the schoolwork that they're being assigned, with regular check-ins with the teacher. And then there are the other supplemental kind of learning that happens normally when students are taught, but they do have that unscheduled curriculum that they're learning with the new learning that they're bringing in to their knowledge base. And so the other types of learning that they can be working with is how parents on the other end, and that's another thing that we're working on, is tips for parents at home as
good.
education partners.
Yes.
So we're kind of bringing up these best practices for parents at home to work and partner with us online to ensure that students are holding up their end
Yes.
from home.
Well, and I've heard a lot of different little bits of information. I understand maybe our school district has purchased additional Chromebooks, because I know we have both computers and internet connectivity. That's the issue. How are you handling that aspect?
I think the biggest barrier that was identified for us in the survey was this thing about connectability online. And we learned that there were 3 barriers that existed for that connection between teacher and student online. One was the devices.
Yes.
They didn't have the devices at home. 2 was connectability, meaning they didn't have the access to internet, period,
Yeah.
because they were that far remote. And then thirdly, the economics of affording online services or,
Yeah.
Wi-Fi and internet. And so with those barriers, we had to take these apart, one at, each
Yeah.
three, we have to remove those barriers.
Yeah.
And so we purchased, I think, 600 additional Chromebooks and, I think nearly 100 iPads, so that our littles, K3, can have their iPad access,
Yes.
or at least K2. And then from 4th grade on up, we had enough devices, Chromebooks, for every student. So we're now 1-to-1. We have enough devices for where we can issue one to every student.
Awesome.
And we'll have checkout days, that for that. We'll, just as we did in the spring, and we'll get that information out there. The connectability piece. So in our remote homes, or maybe even our homeless population, where they don't have Wi-Fi connected to a shelter where they can get online, we're looking to place hotspots. So that the towers, and what the towers provide, a student can be within distance of a hotspot placement, where that can then feed off of a tower and then get Wi-Fi that way. And we can go through our telecommunications provider to get those. And we're in conversations with our telecommunication providers for our area on how they can help us with those, maybe reduce the prices of those so that we can afford them and bring them in. Well, we're going to afford them. We had donations come in last night for that.
Oh, wow.
At our board meeting. And then the third is the financial support for our, in these times, we have a growing group of economically disadvantaged households. And so we want to be able to provide Wi-Fi service for at least 3 months, or while we're online, for every home. So we're working on a system to be able to determine who needs that kind of support, and how we can get that support to
Well,
them.
you already said this is uncharted times, and what you're describing now is very uncharted territory. That's you didn't never imagine you'd get into the internet business.
I was not a telecommunications operator or coordinator, but I'm learning fast.
Wow, that's amazing to me. With the I'm going back to the instruction. With the student being instructed, it seems to me like you said 2 to 2.5 hours per day of literal instruction from the teacher to the student via the computer, via internet. Then the other part of the child's day, the student's day, is going to be with this learning that's going on. That's, if I may, it's not appropriate to call it homework, but it's like individualized work. Is that what's going? I mean, it's going to be instruction and then a block of work.
Yeah, the instruction followed by applied learning. So like in a classroom, the teacher gives the instruction and they go through the lesson, and then the teacher assigns homework. So we know that students are going to be going through several classes a day, but we also have to be mindful of how much homework we're giving out of each class too. Screen time is a concern. I know it is for parents, it is for us too. So we have to be sensitive about that, on how much screen time we're putting kids to. So we need to release them and let them take that knowledge that they're learning out of the lesson and put it into practice or application.
Okay.
So it may be an assignment where a student is going to go, they're going to be working on a project. So it's a project-based learning setup for that experience. Or they're going to have a worksheet that they're going to be working on online or something of that nature. But that applied learning is where they're actually getting into the application of the knowledge they've just learned with prior knowledge, and then they're going to extend it for metacognition. Yeah.
That's good. Well, I have 2 more questions, and then for right now. One is, some of the people that I know quite well both parents work full time, and they're going to keep working full time. How do we? What's the school going to do to kind of make sure of the accountability, make sure that their son or daughter's checking in, signing in? How's that work?
Well, I think first and foremost, it's being proactive and communicating our expectations
Okay.
and how we're setting this up online.
Mm-hmm.
And that our students know that regardless of whether a parent is present physically or it's a caregiver or what have you, the communication lines between the school and the parent are always open. And we are going to be connecting and communicating with parents on attendance, progress, and moving forward.
Wonderful.
So that's the accountability piece. But I think with our kids, it's really them knowing that we are partnering from school to home
Yes.
and home to school, and the communication lines are always open.
Good. Well, that's what I needed to know there for some of those. And lastly, from my perspective, I care generically, I guess. I care what happens in the elementary and the middle school, but I've got a child out there at the high school, so I really care about some specific, tell me school's going to start at 8:15 and it's going to be this class. So I care about that high school. How are you going to communicate in the future with those specific buildings, if you will, with the high school and the middle school and the elementary school where these parents can ask specific questions? What's going to happen there?
Well, I'll tell you what, there are people on my team a lot smarter than me. I gave the community forum on Monday night, and my team was there as a panel.
Yeah.
And they were outstanding. I mean, and I am not saying this to just make our community feel comfortable, but I assure you, guarantee that we have an outstanding lineup here on our leadership team. We're second to none. This is a high-flying team. But they were in that panel, and the community had the opportunity to meet them and hear their responses. And so that was, that in itself was the model that we were after, is this panel of leaders from the district and presenting as a community forum once a week. And when we debriefed that forum, my principals said, well, hey, this is probably where we can branch off and come down to the school level and hold our own community forums, because they're going to want to know what's going on in each school specifically. And if we're giving a general one, then we're, when we speak about elementary school or high school, parents are tuning out and this kind of thing. And I said, well, gosh, that's a brilliant idea. Let's go for that. I didn't say let's go for it. They were already determined to go for it. I said, that's a brilliant idea. That's all wonderful.
Well, I was hoping you were going to say that, because my next question is, would you let us talk to your principals and do it this way to get that information out even more?
Absolutely. They, in fact, I informed them Monday that we were back on the Doug Allison show.
Well,
and
good.
so the folks that have been here got excited because they know what to expect.
Good.
The ones that are new have heard about this opportunity. And so as soon as they heard it, it was like, all right, we're going to experience the same thing that the rest of the team has. So we'll work on a lineup, and we can start bringing this in next week.
Awesome.
And there was on the communications piece, and that, so we have the school-based stuff, but we also have a district-wide community forum coming up again. We want to keep the communication rolling out consistently, and if parents are looking for information, we're updating our website regularly. We now have a link to the Safe Schools Ready Learners and the Comprehensive Distance Learning page. So we have an FAQ sheet in there. We have the procedures that we're coming with. How you enroll, when you enroll online, that registration online, all of that information you'll find in that hot link. Right off of our website. That's another means of communication. And then our principals are going to be sending out letters regularly to our parents. So it's important you register as soon as possible to get that information from our from each principal.
Wonderful. Well, Mike, thank you. I know we've gone long today, but thank you so much for your patience with me asking all these questions. We have a lot more, so we will do it again next week with, we'll work on a lineup. But thank you for watching this. Mike, thank you for being here. We're going to work together to, we're going to support you and make sure this happens.
Well, you know, Doug, last spring, we were kind of thrown into a storm with we didn't know how to navigate out of there, but we did navigate out of there in high fashion as a community. We pulled together. And we need to stay together to make sure that we have these positive experiences and outcomes for every student.
Yes.
And that's how we're approaching this. We know we have our community, we have the support of our community, and we have felt that in the past, and that really just has energized us to do the best, to bring it all.
Good.
And not hold back on it.
Wonderful. Well, you stay tuned. We'll do this again. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.